we go. What's your meeting ID again? Do you know it offhand or no?
266-86-7301.
260?
266 86 7301.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, sounds better.
Okay. It's dead. Isn't it dead?
They're still on.
I'm here now, right? Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
But not your face.
Sounds any better?
I don't see her face.
Yeah. Better. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Carolyn. See? Nothing like the computer. Look at that.
I look better.
You look great.
I know, I like looking good.
Now you look like a host.
Exactly. Oh my God, this is so cool. Okay, so you let me know when you're ready. Oh, okay. All right. So, hey, this is Dr. Carolyn G. Anderson, TV host of the Dr. Carolyn G. Anderson Show. And I'm coming to you live today from I don't have to say Facebook, right? Because it will be live on Facebook, correct? And YouTube, right? Yeah, I don't want to ignore one of them. And today's show, we're going to talk about overcoming obstacles from being at the bottom to rising to the top. And I have two amazing hosts with me. I have two amazing guests with me today. One hails all the way from the wonderful state of North Carolina, and then from the sunshine state of Florida. And so my first guest today is a life coach. She's also a professional speaker. She's an author and a bestseller, and she has overcome several obstacles to get where she is today. And so I want to introduce to you none other than Landon, and we have no choice because there's a storm in our life or a storm coming. So you've had many struggles, many ups and downs, and today I can look and see in the back of your screen there that you are having a victorious life right now. But talk about when you came from being a victim, and just share a little bit with the audience about your story and to let them know that they can overcome.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for asking me to be on the show. It's an honor to be here, and I am delighted to share my journey from victim to victor.
Right.
Not too long ago, I found myself in a situation where I was being physically abused by my husband. And it was not only physical, but it ran the span of verbal, psychological, financial, sexual, spiritual. It was like all across the board. At that point in my life, I was naive, I was young, I felt as if I had to live that life with him. I was afraid to talk about it or share it with anyone I know. Didn't want my parents or siblings to know that I was being beaten. And I just thought that I would either stay with him until I die or, just not knowing what's next. At
Right.
that time in my life, I had no idea what he was doing to me was called domestic violence.
Right.
It was at a breaking point one day where I decided that I was going to do something about this. And it was not the best plan in mind, because my plan was to take my life and the life of my children.
Right.
And I had it all orchestrated on this day in question. And I decided, yes.
You mentioned children. So during this abuse, you have children.
Absolutely.
And are these children boys, girls?
Great question. 2 daughters.
Okay. Wow. So you have 2 daughters in the home, and you're being abused, and you're functioning though, because you had a job, right?
Yes, I had a part-time job.
Okay. And so you will go to work and you will function as normal.
Absolutely. And would lie about bruises and black eyes and things like that.
Right, right. So tell me about that day when you decided that this is my end. This is my breaking point.
Well, I got to a very low place in life. I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know where Joan went. She had disappeared. And I just wanted to rest. I wanted to go to sleep. I no longer wanted to cry. I no longer wanted to feel pain.
Right.
I no longer wanted to see the fear in the eyes of my children. I thought that the best thing to do was for all 3 of us to go to sleep.
Right.
And in my eyes, I'm thinking that sleeping would mean taking our lives.
Wow. So you're not talking about laying down on some comfy, cozy pillow and getting rest. You're talking about sleeping as far as forever.
Yes.
Okay. And what thought process or what mindset were you in at that time? Because we have some viewing audience who are in current situations of domestic violence, and they don't believe they have an out. And there are a lot of suicides. Women who took their own life because it and their kids' life.
Yeah.
What's happening in your mind, if you can remember, that was going on at that time?
Well, my mindset was totally controlled by my husband.
Okay.
I felt like I was in this lifestyle where he had power and control over everything I did. Everything I made, I tried to do it in the way I expected that he would like it. But it would never always turn out that way. I never seemed to be able to do it right.
Okay.
And I was living my life to please him. But him was something that I really could not accomplish because nothing pleased him.
Okay. So tell me about this one day. So tell the people about that one day, because today may be that one day for someone. You know, depression is and suicide is a mind game. And while it is physical, everything and every choice we make comes from our mind, right? And so tell me about this one day when you made up your mind and what transpired to allow you to be here today.
So I made up my mind to take our lives, and it was all planned out, and I actually felt happy. That just goes to show you the mindset that I have. I had no more thought of who I was as a person. I'd lost myself.
Right.
I didn't want to take myself out of this world and leave my children to suffer. Who would take care of them? So, you know, I had this grand scheme of all 3 of us going. And the easiest way that I thought doing it was using a gun. And I'll be honest with you, Carolyn, I practiced several times.
Wow.
I would wake up in the middle of the night and I took the gun and I went to my oldest daughter's room and act as if I was going to do it.
Wow.
And then went to the baby's room and then I, you know, pretended. So I'd almost acted out what I was going to do. Yeah. And
how old was the youngest?
My youngest at the time was 4.
Okay.
The oldest was 11.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So on this day,
it was dawn, so it had to be around 5 something in the morning. And usually my children sleep until 7, 8. So I figured at that time they would be down. So I cried all night because I couldn't sleep because I knew that this was our last day.
Right.
Wow. So I woke up that morning, I got the gun, and as soon as I came out of the closet with the gun, I heard my room door open. And I heard a little voice said, "Mommy," because she did not see me in the bed. So I started shaking because now I'm thinking, this plan is messed up because the
Yeah.
baby is awake.
Right.
And so I don't know what to do. I had the gun in my hand and she's walking in the bedroom. So I put it behind my back.
Mm-hmm.
And it was still kind of dark, but there was like a glimmer of dawn coming through the windows.
Okay.
So at 4, you know, she was a toddler. So I sat on the floor and put the gun under. I sat on the gun.
Wow.
And she walked up to me as I was sitting on the floor. And the first thing she did was felt my face.
Mm-hmm.
And she felt that it was wet. So she said to me, "Mommy, are you sad?"
Wow.
And I said, "Yeah, Mommy is sad."
Yeah.
And she said, "Why are you sad?" So she's looking in my eyes and pulled her face all the way up to my face.
Right.
Look in my face, and she saw the tears. And she said, "Mommy, I can make you strong."
Wow.
And I said, "Really?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "How are you going to do this?"
Right.
And she walked all the way up to me, almost standing in between my legs that were folded,
Right.
put both arms around me, and she squeezed with all of her might.
Wow. Wow.
And in that moment, I
Mhm.
felt a transfer of something
Mhm.
from the 4-year-old's body into
Mhm. Right.
and
Right.
I broke.
Wow.
I broke.
Wow.
Sitting there, holding her. She's holding me. My head is on her shoulder.
Wow.
And she's patting my back and saying, "It's okay, Mommy. It's okay. Take
Yeah.
action."
Wow. You know, there's a lot of people out there that do not believe in the higher being, do not believe that there is a God. And there's a lot of people who have formulated their own God. You know, they have called different people their God.
Yeah.
But I feel like this was a divine appointment, that she was born for that purpose.
Absolutely.
Because there's no person that has a heart that will hear the story that will say, especially that glimmer of light, that light that came through the window or the door was the light that was shining.
Mhm.
And what are I'm sure for all the 4 years that she's been alive, there was never a day like this where she'd come in to your room. Never. And just that day with the gun. And so it is for you, those that are watching, the viewing audience, whatever situation or circumstance you are going through today, just like Joan, she's here today because someone was able to save her life, and that someone is her daughter.
Yep.
Joan, I'm gonna come back to you, but I'm gonna go to Demaisi right now because I could see the expressions on her face just from your story, and she's probably saying, "What's gonna be my story?" So, Demaisi, I'm coming to you. Welcome, Demaisi. She is a successful entrepreneur, a marketing networker. She's also a wife, and she has been in the field of technology and marketing for quite some time. And Demaisi comes to you and hailed all the way from Florida. She used to be in the cold in Midwest in Wisconsin, but she departed, and now she is in Florida. So welcome, Demaisi, to the show.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So you just heard a snippet of Joan's story, and we all have a story, right? At some point in our life, we hit rock bottom. There, in order to truly have life, I believe that you have to have a low moment. That is the moment that is a turning point. So can you express and share with the viewing audience, when would you consider your lowest moments? You may have more than one, but your rock bottom, your state of depression, perhaps you had a thought of even taking your own life. I just want to know, and just tell us a little bit about your story and where you came from and where you are today.
Okay, so I am from Cuba. I was born and raised in Cuba, and one day when I was 22 years old, I decided to escape in the engine room of a boat, and I came to America. And
you were one of the survivors. It's not easy to leave Cuba on a boat to the United States, and Joan can relate because Joan is from Jamaica. So thank God Delta was around.
and I was looking for the American dream. I knew that there had to be more, just because I was watching the movies. We didn't have access to internet in Cuba or access to news, but I knew something was better, had to be better somewhere else. And I went through a lot of moments with the language and the culture and missing my family. I'm the first one to come.
Right.
And then I get married and we moved to Milwaukee. And I really I think I've had many low moments for sure. And I've struggled with depression for some reason. Never got to take any medication, but I was in Milwaukee and I remember taking a knife and almost to the point of slicing my wrist. And I don't know, I never did it, probably because I was scared, but I definitely thought about it. And I remember talking to a psychologist at that point, a Christian woman. Her name is, I forget her name right now. She's in Miami. And she said to me, you either get your stuff together with your thinking and your words, and or I'm gonna have to put you on medication. And I remember deciding at that moment, it's on me. This depression and this life that I'm crying every day, it's on me. So I started writing every day, 3 times a day. I would write what I was grateful for, and I would repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And I started slowly. It's not a many times it's not a one-day thing. It's a slow process. Deeply focus on what's not going right to start focusing on what is going right and start going up, 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 up. And and if you continue in that, then you stay at a high mental state. And if not, then you go backwards. It's just the way it works.
So what I'm hearing for you, your out was to journal, and I can see Joan, and I know her also. She penned her story because normally you can't see the story in the story. The story is always his story, right? So it's always in the past. And so as you were journaling, now that is becoming your book, because I do know that you're going to be publishing your book. That became Joan's book, her bestseller. 90 Days to a Victorious You. I have the book, and she shared about how to become from a victim to victorious, right? And your story is, even though you're beautiful, you seem to have had it together. You have a husband, going to church, Christian, network marketing, things are going great for you, but you were depressed. And there's a lot of people here, in not just in the United States, but globally, who are actually, whether they're filthy rich, billionaire millionaires, or they're in a homeless shelter, struggle with some form of depression or some low moment. But both of your stories today is so different, yet there was still that low moment of saying, hey, maybe I need to take my life because that's the best out. So for those of you that are listening today and watching, just know that the bottom and the lowest point of your life is actually your story, because you have to have a comeback in order to be able to have that confidence and that purpose. Everyone's purpose is birthed through pain. And so, Joan, your pain was what pushed you to birth who you are today. Demaisi, your pain was what pushed you to birth who you are today. Now, both of your stories are very unique because you're also both divorced, but married again, right? And happily married this time, right? Guys? Yeah. So Joan, you went off from that life. You packed your bags, I recall in your book, and you took off. And you also have another book coming out, which we'll talk about that. You took off, and you and your daughters became homeless. And today, I can see you have a magnificently beautiful home. Your own house. So fast forward to today, because there are some people, both Demaisi and Joan, where you were. And we always coach people from where they are, because that's where we were. And that's what makes us such great human beings. So now you're happily married. You have a wonderful husband who is also fathering your children, the 2 that you had. You've also gained a child from the marriage. And even through your illnesses and things that you've experienced, even as you are living the victorious life, he's been there. And so what can you share with those that are listening, that woman that is saying, you know what, I'm going through a divorce and I feel ashamed, because divorce can make you feel like, you're nothing, it's your problem. But I can listen to Joan, I can listen to Demaisi and say, hey, there may be a future husband out there for me who will love me, cherish me, and do all those things for me. And what can you give them? What's the 3 tips that you can leave with the viewing audience to let them know they can overcome and be victorious?
Well, for me, the 3 things, number 1 is owning your power. Understanding that you are a queen because you're a daughter of the king.
Right.
Understanding that anything and everything you want to accomplish is already inside of you. It's just a matter of digging deep and finding it and really capitalizing on it. So owning your power for me would be number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, I would say, is having belief in yourself. Believe that anything that you dream can accomplish, but it needs action.
Right.
Put action to whatever it is that you want to accomplish. And number 3 is just understanding that you will always come to a crossroad and you have the right to choose. You own the choice that you make. You can go left where you are, you know, you self-sabotage.
Right.
You blame yourself, you blame others for the situation that you have been, or you can take a right turn where you acknowledge all of the mistakes that you have made, acknowledge where you have been in life, and make a decision to do better and to go forward and to do something positive for yourself.
Powerful. I hope you're writing those 3 nuggets down. And as you've heard from both the individuals, writing is powerful. You are able to take those thoughts out of your head and put them onto paper. And so, Joan, those 3 things were powerful. And you happen to have a daughter that was able to help you. So one of the things I would like you to share is they need to find someone that they trust, right? Because if you can't do this alone, not everybody's strong enough to do this alone. So one thing would be to find someone or a shelter that can be able to help you to overcome this, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's finding someone that you can speak to. Sometimes you can't even speak to your family.
Right.
Someone you trust. It could be a coworker. That's how I got out. That's how I got help. My manager at work.
Okay.
So, a manager, a next door neighbor, someone at church.
Right.
Someone that you can trust enough to share it. And one thing I always say to people who find out that there is a domestic violence situation with any individual is never ever to say to that individual, why do you stay?
Right.
That's a question.
Right.
If you know that someone is in a domestic violence situation, the appropriate question to ask is, how can I help?
Wow. Very good.
How can I help?
All right. Awesome. Demaisi, how you doing? So thank you for sharing again. Tell me your 3 points that you would leave with someone who may be international. They may be from another country and they are here looking for the American dream, but sometimes they get abused because the person who they may have married for, you know, to get residency understands and know that they're self-dependent, they have no family. So my audience is global and there's a lot of international, even on my team, I have people from Brazil who are trying to come to America to have that dream. So what can you share with them if they're here and they're depressed because they can't get to work or they can't get to do anything and they're, you know, in turmoil? What 3 things can you leave with them to stick it out and do not give up? Because you have to find your sweetheart from Cuba and now he's your husband today. So that's how life comes back all the way around.
Yes. Wow. That's a loaded question. Okay. Whew, I love it. I wish I could answer that question all day. Okay. So number 1, if there's someone out there that is in that situation, I would say get help from a coach if you can. If not, there are a million videos that you can watch out there for free on YouTube and research, and start writing what you want and start focusing on what you want. Writing is powerful. I don't know exactly what it does, but when you write with your hands, it does something to your brain.
Right.
So write your goals and believe that what you are doing does work.
Right.
Even if it doesn't work right now or today, but it will work with time. Second thing, take action. Take action. Do something. Do what you know will liberate you from your situation. If you're depressed, You can do something that makes you happy every day. You can start eating the foods that are healthy so that it actually works on you also physically, on your brain. You can start taking the vitamins that will help you. Do your research online. If you know that you're focusing on the negative, start focusing on the positive, on what's going right, and start thinking of how would you feel if things were going right. That will really, really help you. That helped me a lot, because how would I feel if I was not in this situation, if I was actually where I want to be.
Right.
And so that's part of taking action for sure. And three, once it is the time to move on and get a divorce, go ahead. Do not feel shame. Always make sure that you're gonna be okay. Don't do something crazy that's gonna leave you out on the street, unless you think and believe that that's what's gonna be good. But don't feel shame, that maybe some religious people might put on you. I know that I struggled with that for years. And Carolyn, I can say that you were probably the only one person that comes from the ministry background that did not judge me.
Right.
Seriously.
Right.
So do not feel like you're gonna be put down or ashamed. It's your life. You are beautiful. You have a lot to give. And if you stay where you are, years will go by, and it'll be 10 more years, and you might have missed the timing that you had for doing something beautiful and helping people just like you.
Right. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Thank you guys for sharing powerful stories. And I can't wait for the new book for Joan. And I know Demaisi is having her book coming as well. And Joan, I've encouraged you before that this needs to be a documentary. And because it is absolutely a life-changing story, and it is something that people need to hear and to understand, because it's not even just men. There are men who actually go through this same situation. It's not just the female, and there are also men who struggle with their identity. In fact, most of the clients that I have that I coach are males, and I just love it. It's easier for me to work with men because they just put things into action. Women wrap emotions into it. So, but anyway, yeah. So for the men and for the women that are out there, children, right now, there's so much pressure for young people that has put them into a box and make them believe that they need to look like how Hollywood looks, when Hollywood actually is trying to look like how they look or live like how they live. So today we had with us Demaisi, who hails all the way from Florida, and she is a coach. She is a fitness guru. She is a network marketer, and she's also a successful entrepreneur. We had Joan Randall, who's a best-selling author, a life coach, a business coach, as well as an entrepreneur as well. And so if for those of you that are viewing, there is something in similarity here. Two different backgrounds, two different cultures, yet they were able to overcome. Why? Because they realized that it was better for me to be alive than to be dead. And it wasn't until they changed their mind, when they made a decision that something has to give, something has to change. So for those of you that are in the breaking season right now, you're at that breaking point and you're saying something has to give. I would say give life to yourself. Give your purpose to yourself. Get out. Homeless shelters are amazing. I've happened to be homeless 5 times, and I didn't even realize it was 5 times until I started counting all the friends I had to stay with. And so, in fact, one of the friends' son recently was on my show because I blessed him with a coaching package of $9,000 because I slept on his mother's floor when I came back from the military. So, life is a journey. People see me now, they see me on the stage, and they don't know the story. Look at Demaisi, look at Joan, and there's many others. There's men and there's women who are struggling. And I know there's a lot of fear right now, especially in the United States, with the politicians and just everything that's happening and the crimes. But I want to tell you that there is still life here on earth. There is still great life in the United States. It is still one of the best places to live because there's awesome, wonderful people. And as long as you understand that you have a purpose, if you're alive and you're listening to us today, if you've heard Joan, you've heard Demaisi, you know today that there is still life, because until your breath leaves your body, you still have a purpose in life, and someone is waiting for you. There are thousands of women's life who has been transformed and changed from Joan's story. Demise's story, my story, and countless other men and women's story whose lives has been changed. And if you would not be here today, their lives will never be the same. So get the pen, start penning, start writing things down, because you could be your next bestseller. So until next week, thank you for joining us. You were live today with the Dr. Carolyn Show, and we are coming to you next week live with a wonderful, awesome guest just like we had today. So stay tuned, stay connected with us. Follow us on Facebook at Dr. Carolyn Show, as well as Twitter, Instagram, and on YouTube, as well as our website is drcarolinshow.com. Thank you so much for being with us. Have an awesome and wonderful day. And remember, life is a gift, so celebrate it every single day.
Thank you.
This is Dr. Carolyn G. Anderson coming to you. Have you heard the buzz? I am coming with the preview show, 7/17/17 at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You want to be there. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com Dr. Carolyn Show. I'm looking forward to seeing you live and in person, online at Facebook and YouTube TV. I'm looking for you to be there, and don't delay.